Hello everybody, how is it going? And welcome to another episode of Amps and the XFX3. My name is Lucas, and on this episode we are going to be checking out the Friedman Brown Eye 100. Guys, if this is your first time here, or if you've been here before, make sure you are subscribed, because we do lots of cool stuff here. We go over gear, we go over guitars, and we do giveaways, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss any of that. So, without further ado, let's dive right into checking out the Friedman Brown Eye 100. So this is what the Brown Eye looks like. Dave Friedman is the one who makes these amps. He has modeled amps and modded amps for tons of people. He worked with Eddie Van Halen. He works with Phil X. Phil X gets great tons out of these. He has his own SIG amp. He's given Jakey Lee from Ozzy Osbourne his own SIG amp. Dave's a cool guy. He does a lot of cool stuff with amps. And his pretty much flagship amp is the Brown Eye. So we have 9 different Brown Eyes in the XFX3. And I say, well, we have the Brown Eye and then we have the Hairy Brown Eye, which is a mode on here. And the Friedmans are pretty much the ultimate modeled plexi. They're pretty much like a modern plexi into my ears, because they have a lot more gain and they're very different from the original modern plexis. This is an EX amp guide, so if you want to know all the technical stuff about the Brown Eyes, go in here and check it out and you can read up on it. Where we're going to get most of our information today is going to be from the XFX wiki. So like I said, we have 9 different models from the Brown Eye itself. So the very first one we're going to be checking out is it's going to be the Brown Eye, but it's going to be from one of the very first Brown Eyes that were made. I'm going to call it the Marsha when I refer to it, because that's what it was originally called until Marsha got mad and Dave had to change the name of it. That's why I have it Marsha in parentheses. It's 100 watt amp as it says in the name, and it runs on EL34s. And so since we have so many different ones today, I'm going to be dialing in a lot of them very differently, and I'm going to be using a ton of different IRs. So for the Marsha, I used my GGD Zilla oversized 412 cab with a UK V30 with an SM57 on it, and we're also going to be using some ML Sound Lab IRs too. So let's actually jump right in and let's see what the Brown Eye mode on the Marsha sounds like. By the way, I'm using my Black Cat headless guitar with Toast and Fishmans for pickups. Everything you're going to hear, like 99% of stuff, is going to be from the bridge pickup. But I'm going to cycle to my single coil positions and go through all the positions right here on the Marsha, just to let you see how it reacts to different positions. So for the Marsha, I didn't really get too crazy. Most of everything I dial in is going to be from the authentic tab. I am going to adjust the negative feedback on here, because Cliff even says it in here that if you adjust the negative feedback, it clears up the mids a little bit. So for some of them, this is the default's going to be 9.8. Others, it's like in the 4s. I'll try and remember to check them as we go through. I didn't adjust it on here. For the output EQ, I scooped a little bit of mids. I do this on a lot of them, because the Friedmans have so much mid presence and low end, sort of like a real plexi does. I always scoop that out just to kind of get rid of that nastiness that pops in there. I did not use a drive for this one. Some of it did, some of it didn't. Like I said, I want to show how versatile this amp is, so I dialed different ones in different ways. So let's move on to another Brown Eye, and let me actually scoop this over. There we go, so you can actually see me properly. Sorry about that. This is the 3rd time I have to reshoot this because I was having issues getting proper sound, but hey, we're good now. This is going to be the Brown Eye C45. So what the C45 is what it's a switch. Cliff says right here, it's the C45 is a treble boost on the input. It gives the amp a lot more balls, and it cleans up that, I don't say darkness that it has, but it helps it go away, and it makes it come more alive. So if you come to the power amp section, I did lower the negative feedback a little bit just to give you an idea of what that sounds like, and I am using a drive with this one. C45 Friedmans are some of the best sounding Friedmans out there. They sound really great. On the HBE C45, some guys have just slapped the amp in a cab with their guitar and it sounds absolutely fantastic. I wasn't as fortunate. I had to do a little bit of tweaks. Let me hear you let you hear what it sounds like with the drive on and off. I just kind of wanted a little bit more sizzle on top. I wanted to do things a little bit different than the one we did in the beginning. By the way, this one right here, it's based off of Mark Day's BE100. So a lot of the ones that we're going to go through here are going to be based off of Mark Day's. We have one based off of the old Marshall one, and we have one based off of the 2018. C45 switch is really powerful, and it definitely changes the feel of the amp. So for this BE version 1, this one is also based off of Mark's BE100. The voice position to the right, so that means it has less mids. And this patch right here is very interesting because you're gonna see the sound is, it's very interesting. IR wise, I'm using ML Sound Labs Mega Gent 57C. For the letters, all it really is it's a brightness profile, and I just chose C because it's kind of right in the middle. E is the brightest, A is the darkest, relative to what amp you're using. These are pretty much my cab settings. Put a little bit of room, nothing super fancy in the cab. Drive wise, I'm using the Horizon Devices Precision drive. We have drive attack and bright. I didn't go too crazy with the drive. This drive in particular kind of sucks a little bit of the gain out of it, so I'll put a little bit more in there. EQ wise, yeah, this one's a little different. I boosted a little bit of bass and took a little bit of the mids out there. Let's just see what it sounds like. I said, I'm gonna cycle the pickups. It's gonna be a very unique sound, and I'll kind of explain it once I'm done. So for this one, I was kind of going for like more of a like a twangy, attacky type of gent sound, kind of like something like maybe Tesseract would use, or Landmarks, for example. So that's kind of like what I went for this. I mean, if I go into the single coil positions, it kind of gets out of control, and it's like very like bright and spiky. This is the neck, and when you're on the neck right here, it kind of sounds normal since the neck's so warm. Just going for something different, like I said before. Let me take off the drive and let you hear what that sounds like still on the bridge. So as you can see, the drive really transforms the amp. Okay, so now we're gonna go to BE version 2. This is also coming from Marks, but this is with the position in the left, so you actually get more mids, which is kind of counterproductive because I did a gent one with less mids, but you know, that's just kind of how I felt. I'm using ML Mega Green for this. Now this cab is a Mesa oversized cab with some of the best Celestian greenbacks that were ever made, and it's a really unique and cool cab. Version 2, like I said before, no drive, I believe, yes, no drive. This one is laid back, and meaning that I kind of dialed it in to not be that aggressive, you know, meaning you can use it for like active rock or something of that nature, you know, something that doesn't need like searing distortion. Once again, it's absolutely perfect for that, and it cleans up pretty nicely when you go to the single coil position there. By the way, I'm in drop C. Sorry I didn't mention that earlier if you haven't figured that out yet. So for the next one we're going to be checking out, we're going to be getting into the Harry Brown Eye mode. The Harry Brown Eye mode, what that does is it's an alternate voicing with a pre-amp triode gain boost. So you get a little bit more gain out of it, makes it a little bit more nasty. And once again, this is coming from Mr. Yex Amp Guide. But like I said, we have 9 different amps to check out. So we're going to have to bounce on over to another patch or preset, however you would like to call them, to check this one out. So this is the Harry Brown Eye from the Marsha. And as you recall before, the Marsha was the original hand-wired BE that Cliff modeled way back in the earlier days before he modeled everything else. So let's check out the Harry Brown Eye from the Marsha. And I'm using ML Sound to make a gent for this. I'm using a 57 and a 421. I'm not really blending them side to side. They're both right up the middle. That's some settings on it if you want to check that out, know what I was using. All right, so let's check out the Marsha Harry Brown Eye. This amp was very easy for me to dial in. It didn't really fight me all that much. I kind of turned the knobs to where I thought it would kind of sound good, and the sound popped out, scooped a little bit of mids. I'm not using a drive on it either. Let's slap on the drive, see what that sounds like. It kind of scissors the high end a little bit and takes a little bit of the low end out of it. But the Marsha Brown Eye sounds really good. It's a little bit different flavor from the other ones, but I mean we have so many different ones to choose from. It's really totally up to you. So now moving back to our original Gordon Friedman patch we have here. The next Harry Brown Eye we're going to be checking out is going to be HBE version 1 from Mark Day's BE100, and the voice position is to the right, so that is going to be less mids. Very similar to the Brown Eye version 1 that we had. IR, back to Zilla IR. EQ wise, same as before, really just scooping out a little bit of mids. Am I using a drive? No, we have no drive. Harry Brown Eye version 1. Let me turn down the treble a little bit. I was having some fuzz issues with this patch earlier. As you can see, when you push this one, it can get kind of fuzzy. Whenever you push the input drive up on these amps, lower the bass and kind of see where the mids sit, because the more input drive you get, the more of that low end comes up and you have to kind of tame it. That was HBE version 1. I'm kind of neutral about it. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. So this is version 2 from Mark's. This one is in the left position, which has more mids, right, and we're looking at that one right here, just like the BE. So for this one, I'm using, this is another one from ML Sound Lab, but this is from the USA Bulb Fractal Pack, and I have it labeled as P3 at the top because this is pretty much what the Periphery 3 guitar sound was. It was an HBE. I don't remember which version that was specifically used, but I know it was an HBE straight into, I can't remember if it was the Misha Mix 8 from USA Bulb or from USA Gent. It was one of those. They sound pretty similar, so you can kind of really pick which one you want, which sounds better to you. And this is pretty much what it was. And they scooped a little bit of EQ out of here. They did not use a drive for this. It was just amp and cab, and that they just kind of want to go with something a little bit different. So this is the Harry Brown Eye version 2 with a P3 gent flavor to it. Now, I was not trying to replicate the P3 tone exactly. I was just kind of giving a flavor of to see what it sounds like. So the mid profile on here is it's very unique. It's pretty much very in your face, regardless of if you don't scoop it too much. I mean, I did scoop a little bit out of there, but that was just some of those annoying mids. Once again, Brown Eye and Harry Brown Eye are very, very versatile. Moving on to number 8, technically, we're going to be checking out the Harry Brown Eye from 2018. We have a 2018 version, and we're going to have a 2018 version with the C45. These are, I think, my 2 favorite Harry Brown Eye modes. I don't know why. They're very different from the other Harry Brown Eye modes. I think I like the Marsha 3rd as opposed to the 2 2018 ones. They're just very smooth and back to Zilla IR, and they get along with me for some reason. Not using a drive. Once again, you see my EQ is very similar for all of them. I didn't copy and paste it, I literally just did it by ear. 2018 HPE. This one's very smooth. I'm going to turn on the gain a little bit and let you see what that sounds like, a little drier sound. Ugh, a little bit out of tune there. Alright, now we're going to move on to the C45 2018. And as you're gonna notice, look where the gain is, and watch how much more gain this one. Alright, so I'm going to boost the gain on here, and then I'm going to bounce to the 28. The 2018 is a little tamer, I guess you can say, and then of course since the C45 has that input boost, you hear like the high end kind of get a little bit more of a sizzle. These 2 amps work perfect together, so if you want one section that's a little bit drier, that doesn't really have like a cooked high end, you can use it for that. And then the C45, a lot of people love this one. Like I said, they just do amp cap guitar and they don't even have to tweak anything and it sounds good. Wasn't the case for me, but hey, you get so many different variables using the XFX3, and it was back to GGZ Zilla for that IR. Guys, thank you so much for hanging around. Sorry this ran so long. We had so much to cover. I really do appreciate you guys hanging around. If you thought this video was cool, give me a like. If you're not subbed, you should think about it. Why? Because it's free, and that's a great price. And like I said, we do giveaways and lots of cool stuff, and I don't want you to miss it. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around and checking this out with me. I really do appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.